So, welcome to this episode of the HRD Talks podcast, where we talk with HR directors and people directors about their journey into HR. We get their insight into current trends in the world of work and take their advice on the future of HR and how HR professionals can deliver value and progress their career. I'm Nick Elliott, employment lawyer. So today I'm really excited to welcome Ceri Gott. Ceri's going to introduce herself in a minute. We just wanted to say thank you to Waterstones for hosting us today and providing a room in London. We're on tour with the HRD Talks podcast, so thank you to them. Ceri, do you want to talk to us a little bit about who you are, what you're doing at the minute, and then we'll talk about how you got into HR?
Thank you, Nick. So I'm Ceri Gott and I want to change the world.
So just a small mission?
I know that sounds bold. But we all have an impact on the people in the world around us, whether we are intentional about that or not. And from my point of view, we may as well make it a positive one. And as a culture and leadership coach, I work at a number of different levels. Someone beautifully put it yesterday, there are worlds within worlds. So I do one-to-one coaching. I work with individuals who are creating or getting momentum, changing their world, their life, their experience of the world. And I'm privileged to see those magical moments when someone discovers more of themselves and kind of makes more, goes in the direction they want to. And I work coaching, mentoring HR directors and with other leaders in businesses on their leadership style, something we can learn more about. We're not taught, how to relate to how we relate to other people, but it's just so important. And on people and organizational strategies. So, our workplaces are such important communities. Most people, we don't live in extended families or tribes anymore. Most people spend most of their waking hours at work with the people they work with, not their housemates, etc. So small changes there can make such massive impacts on people's lives and have really big ripples. So that work that HR teams do and HR directors do and leaders who are very people focused, so it has such a big contribution. It does change the world. Yeah. And then there are organizations whose very mission is to have a positive impact, whether they are charities or purposeful businesses. So I was fortunate enough to be part of a business for a big chunk of time, helping lead a B Corp, so a business that demonstrates that companies can be not just profitable, but also positive for people and taking positive strides on the planet. Yep. So that's what I do now, one-to-one coaching, leadership development, and up to an organizational level, cultural and growth frameworks. And I love helping people create things that are really meaningful to them and do more with them.
Sounds great. And tell us how you got into HR in the first place. So you talked a little bit about having worked in the people side of things for quite some time, but you also had a slightly unconventional route into HR.
I did.
Tell us about that background.
I did. My journey into HR started with a phone call from my little brother, Hugh Gott, asking me if I wanted to come and work for him. Yep. So he asked me if I wanted to come and work for him and his best friend, Will Beckett. So they are very successful restaurateurs now, have done amazing work. But at the time, they were just starting out. So they had recently taken over a small kebab shop in East London, in Shoreditch, opposite a church designed by the architect Nicholas Hawksmoor, and had opened a restaurant called Hawksmoor. Yeah. You can see the link now. Yeah. With simple ambitions. So simple, just great foods, and this lovely welcoming environment where everyone could have a good time. And ambition because, they weren't teenage boys anymore, but they were, still quite cocky as a big sister. And one day they wanted it to be the best in the world. So the best in London and then the best in the world. Okay. And they had recently got some investment to help grow the business. And it was really important to them to do it, keeping all of the things that made it really special. So the quality, the ethics, and this workplace culture. So they already had a really strong workplace culture, which my brother Hugh described as a group of talented people creating something special. And it was really important to them to keep it because we always believed if you get the people stuff right, the rest will follow. People enjoy being there, particularly in our industry. You feel it. Customers will come, they'll have a great time. They will tell their friends, they'll come back and the money will follow. So that was really important to them. And they wanted my help, working out how to do that.
Yep.
How are we going to
Yep.
do that? And someone asked me, what did you think about it? So I knew that I would really enjoy spending more time with my brother and in these restaurants because, I mean, who wouldn't? It's great food and it's a great place to be. But at the time, I was doing something really different. I spent 13 years as a government economist.
Mm-hmm.
Sad words.
A little different.
A little different. You'll appreciate that with your different hats on. So I spent 13 years working in a whole range of areas, policy, strategy, economics, including at one point being a national expert on productivity and innovation, which we might come on and talk about later because it's so topical. And so I knew I'd enjoy it, but it was such a different world. I did wonder, like, how are these two worlds going to come together, and how can I make a positive impact? And I mentioned this book to you because we are in Waterstones looking at interesting books. And I just read this book called Funky Business that talks about when you get very different experience, ideas, backgrounds, sectors, that's when you can really create something new and different and exciting and grow. And funnily enough, Will had just read that book. So it just, like, why not? Let's join these things together and see what happens.
Did that feel like a risk at the time?
It did feel like a risk at a time, but they were on a change journey. They were growing, and I was on a change journey because my son had been ill. So there's a personal story behind it as well, and he was recovering. He's 17 now, 6'3", totally fine. But he was 3. Wow. Yep. And it just made me really reconnect to what really mattered to me, and I wanted to work with people I really cared about. So my brother. Yeah. And work for the people they really cared about, because you can't do what you do, especially as an entrepreneur, you cannot do it without your people. They're so important. Yeah. And bringing those things together. So my very different experience, and possibly not a leap that I wouldn't have taken if I hadn't had that personal story going on. So my very different experience and that simple ambition, I think, has been a real recipe for success. So over the 13 years that I was at Hawksmoor, we grew the business from 3 special restaurants in London to 13 restaurants across 7 cities, 4 countries. So across the UK, Ireland and the US. Wow. From 150 people to 1,250. With, as it's an HR audience, with the turnover and with big openings. That could be an 800 people joining in a year, still with very high standards, winning loads of awards, being named the best steak restaurant in the world, and being the first UK restaurant to become a B Corp. And in each of those 13 years, Hawksmoor was named a top 100 best company to work for in any industry in the UK. And obviously over that time, my role evolved as well. So I started as the HR director. Some people here who... particularly in small businesses, startups, I was the HR director and the whole HR team. And then some great people joined me. Yeah. And my role evolved, Chief People Officer internationally. And then I took on planning because of my scaled background, and ended up Chief Growth and Culture Officer, sitting on the board, overseeing the company in this very dynamic environment. Yeah. And of course, it wasn't always easy. Because we went through expansion, went through COVID, went through double-digit inflation, we went through unemployment, all of those things that have happened. Yeah, and I think that special culture, keeping that special culture, and having a bit of both those hats on, really loving people. Like I'm all about people. It's the red thread that runs through everything I do. And also having, like, kind of weaving in a bit of economics and a bit of that information really helped, certainly me, to help create something that was resilient.
I guess that was one of the questions I had was, what do you think your kind of background as an economist brought to that role? Because it is, my guess is that there are probably not many people that have done that transition, if anybody. Does it give you a different level of commerciality when it comes to understanding the business, or what do you think?
I love that question, because I think sometimes, the soft skills, you can see me do that with things, are seen as something fluffy that one group of people do in one place over here, whereas the hard work on numbers is done by another group somewhere else. And I'm quite passionate about finding, I was finding ways to do both, right? Because a lot of this good work is being done and it does drive the business, but people maybe don't appreciate it. And finding ways to kind of share some of this stuff. So I'm really happy to share some of the things that I did there that I think, one, made it a really lovely place to work, which we know, who doesn't want to be somewhere that's nice, right? But also helped the business grow and be resilient.
Well, let's talk about some of those.
Let's talk about some of those.
So what kind of things?
So if I can I start by explaining what productivity is?
Of course.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we hear a lot about that at the minute, that's for sure, in terms of the wider economic picture. Yeah. As in, it's not supposed to be very good. But yeah, go ahead.
Yes, it's not supposed to be very good. Labour productivity in the UK. And also because labour costs going up, business is very challenging. There's a lot of focus on it, as you say, and I hear it. And I kind of, sometimes I think it can be translated as labour efficiency, like labour costs.
Yeah.
And for me, it's so much more than that because my experience in both of these very different areas, economics, people and culture, has really taught me that what we achieve is all about people, and people's productivity is a combination of their time, talent, and energy. And if we focus on just one of those things, time, without always regenerating energy and talent, learning, then we're just taking a very narrow view. So, we hear a lot about we need to work smarter. What does work smarter mean? It means be more productive. And what is productivity? It is what you or I achieve in a day's work. Okay, so the value of what you or I achieve in a day, without picking on you. What do you achieve in a day's work?
I'm the only person here, it's fine.
And so if you take what we achieve, if you take all the people in your company and multiply it by what they achieve in a day's work, then you get one measure of the value of your company.
Yeah.
If you take everyone who works in the country who's in employment and multiply that by average productivity, you get a measure of national income, percentage of which is taxed, and we spend on public services. We need more money in. So productivity is really important for all of us. At a company level, it is, we grow productivity and we can grow the value of our company because it grows profits. Yeah. Nationally, it gives us more money to spend on public infrastructure without having to put up taxes, and individually it's related to our income. And there is the productivity gap. So that means that what we achieve, just to make it real, what it might take us 45 hours to achieve here in the UK, someone in Sweden or the US might do in 43. Yeah. So they get 2 hours back a week, and who, wouldn't want that 2 hours back a week. But what I know because of my background on productivity is that in every country and in every sector, there are outliers. So because I looked at the data, so there are companies that are doing better than others in the sector, and we can learn from them. So in 2021, we're coming out of COVID, and there's a Professor Colin Lindsay at Strathclyde University. You see, I'm very geeky, so I was very happy he got in touch and said, do you want to be part of a study? So they had money from the Scottish government, I think, and that they were just looking for companies that had a great reputation for people practices and great financial performance, so that they could get lessons to help other companies work out how to grow out of COVID. Okay. And Hawksmoor was part of that, which is great, and I learned a lot from it. And so I could, so I will go on and share a few things. Yeah, please was that all clear?
Yeah, no, great. Yeah.
So let's take the work from Colin Lindsay. So one of the biggest drivers of productivity is innovation. So we think of innovation, STEAM, tech, now we think about AI. And what I really learned from this study was that at Hawksmoor, the people who were a kind of army of micro-innovators, the ones who were making changes that drove improvements. So in the service sector, most of our innovation is how can people organise themselves and their work a little bit different every day to make themselves more efficient or make their job a bit better. And the people who were doing that were the people who felt that they could be the change that they wanted to see. They were people who felt their manager listened and gave them feedback and gave them training, and they were allowed to make the changes that would make them more efficient. So this thing that we'd been doing that I had always seen as an HR strategy, listening surveys, right? Yeah. But we're all doing these listening surveys. Actually, not only are they engagement strategy, they're a business innovation strategy. It suddenly feels different. Yes. Yeah. And my experience of doing them, to give an example, was that I thought people would ask for more benefits or something, and I found people didn't tend to ask for that. People would ask for things like, we haven't got enough teaspoons.
Okay.
Teaspoons in restaurants like socks in washing machines. So we're in a busy service and we haven't got enough teaspoons, and it makes service slower and it makes my job more stressful. So they are they're genuinely finding things that not only make them happier, because obviously that's going to drain your energy, but also make the quality of your business better and more efficient. So I just think there's a lovely lesson in there about how listening can improve both of those things, make a better place to work, and it makes them more productive.
Yeah.
We've got time for another one.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Yeah.
Let's go pick another one. It'd be kindness. So let's pick something that can come across as really soft and fluffy. But nurturing a culture of kindness. Hawksmoor has one of its values is work hard and be nice to people.
Yeah.
Of course, who doesn't want to work somewhere where people are nice to people? But how does that also help business performance? So when someone's rude to us, or even when we witness someone being rude, there's like a bit of our brains kind of shut down a bit. Have you heard that? Yeah. So obviously our brain's kind of diverting some of its activity to go over that, ruminate on it. And if you haven't, if you didn't know that, I always challenge people to notice next time they feel a bit slighted or something at work, just see what their brain's doing over the next few hours and if they get as much done. So now if you imagine all of those people in your company and you put them in an environment where managers aren't confident managing conflict or microaggressions, as they're called, like where this behavior, or a manager might criticize someone in front of other people. You're taking all of those people in your company and you're putting them in an environment that reduces their brain power. And obviously, you multiply those two things together, you're going to get a lower value for your company. So there's lots of stuff on that. And then the question is always, how do you do it? So that's a value.
Yeah, well, I was thinking, how do you embed that, how do you encourage people to be kind to each other? Were there initiatives that you would kind of implement, or was it just kind of the culture just made it that way?
It's a bit of both.
Okay.
So we'd think about big and small kindnesses. So big kindnesses, we have Hawksmoor's income insurance in place for everyone who works there. So if something happens, I mean, everyone will know what income insurance is. It's quite unusual in our industry. But that's a big kindness. It's not why people join companies, certainly not in hospitality in their 20s having fun. And then my experience is that it's the small things that make the biggest difference. And that is about culture. And so that's value, that's culture. And then being really intentional about how you embed it. So all new managers, when I did induction with them, none of it was about, this is what you must do. It's to start with let's nurture a culture of kindness, and actually start with, you make a big difference to people's lives. For the story I gave, most people spend their time here. Like I have experienced how much difference managers make to people's lives. And when I did that, what are the kindnesses that matter to you? Be it like my head chef said hello to me when they came in the morning. Someone wiped the section, someone had my back, someone swapped a shift, because it's those things make such a big difference every day.
That's interesting.
And that's about culture. And I think one of the most important things, will be a theme, is management. So time and again, we find the most important thing in culture is management. So for me, culture is your management culture. And at Hawksmoor, there's a 5. I should stop saying we have, because obviously I haven't left. It's only a few months ago.
I was going to say it wasn't long ago. You can be forgiven.
And it was for a long time. And it's still there. They're still doing a great job there with all of these things, part of the culture. There's a 5-stage management development program, a really good thing to have in every industry, and investing in people. So it is learning those things. How do you deal with conflict? We're not taught this. We don't get spat out of school or university knowing how to have a difficult conversation or have relationships. And these are the skills that actually there's a lot of research on this now, end up being the most important skills for your professional development and your company, and also for your life. So these social emotional relationships, they're more important. They have more impact on your quality of life and your health than not smoking. It's a massive gift to people, not just at work, but I always think, how can we do more for our people? Not then do more for us, but do more, and then they will stay there and you'll get all the other benefits. So we had that in place, and so I was really, obviously I've been really interested to see research that shows that companies where the managers score more highly for emotional intelligence not only have more engaged teams, like we're going to guess that's the HR bit, but also more profitable and have higher CSS, so customer satisfaction scores. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? And that is the theme running through all of these things, and it drives productivity.
So then with those managers, do you think you can teach that stuff, or do you select for that when you're looking at promoting people to management?
I'm studying neuroscience at the moment. And I don't want to get onto it because I will go off on one. There's a lot, there's a lot that we haven't learned and there's a lot that we can learn. And it is a muscle. So this is what I picked up, just to give a very simple version. 2 networks in our brain: an analytic network and an empathic network. Analytic network makes us rational. It's the stuff we will learn. You're a lawyer, I did economics. We will learn this stuff. It's valued in Western education, and we learn this stuff. And the other network is the empathic network. So not only is it about emotional intelligence, it's also helps us think more conceptually, think about principles, ethics. It makes us reasonable.
Yeah.
And I say, you want your analytic network to be your finance director doing the number crunching, but the empathic network should be the CEO, really making the decisions. And it is a muscle. And if you don't use it, it actually atrophies, if I can say that word right.
Yeah.
So we need to train this muscle. It's good for us at work and it's good for us in life. So yes, you can learn it. And then you asked me specifically about it, at a company level, how we did it. So something lovely in hospitality, which actually comes from a very famous restaurateur called Denny Meyer in the US. And Hawksmoor talks about, many other places talk about 49% and the 51%. So 49% service, 51% hospitality. So when you come to a restaurant, 49% the service is what happens to you.
Okay.
You get the menu, your bill comes a time, you don't have to wait too much for your drinks. Like what happens to you. And then the 51% is the hospitality. It's how you are made to feel and your experience. Yeah. So, and I think in hospitality, lots of front of house managers they're so good at reading people. They're so skilled, the people in this industry and lots of other industries. And so they already have that. And I always believe you take your specialism, your employment law, your HR, your economics, and you adapt it to the personality of the organisation you're in. So if I'm training HR in an organisation like that, I'll be talking about the 49%, so important. And for all managers, I believe we should train all managers to do HR, not empower them to make decisions. And so, people have contact with people day to day who also understand the law. So, but the 49%, you specialise. It's really important that you get the steps right, whether it's disciplinary steps, whatever. And it's really important to feel confident doing that so you can get the 51% right. Yeah. But the 51%, how do we feel? How do you feel when we have that conversation, whether it's your performance review and kind of like having that space where you understand yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses and grow, whether it's we're having a disciplinary conversation, whether it's a communication in the company and the culture, this is what we're doing and this is why we're doing it and our values, all of that stuff. You have to help me. Did that answer your question?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And it resonates with often when I'm advising, because we talked about it in my first degree was psychology. And I think often I'll be thinking about an employee situation that I'm helping a client with or an HR person with but trying to focus on how will that actually make them feel? Like, yes, we might take them through a process and that'll all be legally compliant and lovely, but how are they going to feel? How are they going to react? What are they actually thinking? And how might we, tailor things to do things in a way that's helpful for my client, usually for them, bearing that in mind. So yeah, I think it's great. I really like that.
That's a beautiful example, I think, of you using your analytical and empathetic
well, there you go,
network, and the fact that we need both of them in balance. Because if you just did that analytic bit, actually, it's how someone feels means that.
Yeah, it could go spectacularly wrong. Absolutely. Yeah.
And how people feel is important. If there's going to be any message from the soft skills have hard results, it would be how people feel is important.
Were there any of the other initiatives that you wanted to talk about, or do you want to move on to something new?
I think I'd love to just talk a bit about welcoming everyone.
Of course.
So inclusion, DEI work. And there's a wonderful woman, Lorraine Coates, who runs a brilliant organisation in hospitality called Be Inclusive Hospitality. It's about accelerating race equity. And she was and I totally agree that it's about culture. So when you're thinking about culture, it's about making sure that everyone feels they belong, everyone's part of it and everyone benefits. So all of these things develops all of these things. And I can link that to productivity.
Yeah.
It's just, but part of me is just like, it's just the right thing to do.
Yes.
But obviously, if you feel you have to hide part of yourself at work, then your brain it is going to affect productivity. But it's just the right thing to do, right? It is awful that people feel they have to hide things or can't hide things. It's going to affect them. So, little bit of insight into how we thought about it and what we did there. I guess I'd start with the value that everyone brings. So my brother Hugh, a few years ago, he was diagnosed with inattentive ADHD. Mm-hmm. We agreed it explained a lot. Yeah. And in particular, he is incredible at detail. He'll go down a rabbit hole and he's creative director.
Yeah.
Yep. And it really explains how he is so amazing at those things. And it explained why he finds some other things really difficult, like being on time when he's meeting me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he would describe the success at Hawksmoor now, I think, as a partnership between someone who is neurodivergent, someone who's neurotypical, and it's a bit funky business, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, it will come back to a theme, which is like when we embrace difference, it is creative and it is exciting. Yeah. So he did a internal video about it when he was diagnosed, and that was really powerful. I was always really open. I was a working mum, and some of the things that I was juggling with doing that, and it was a great place to be doing that. And then I was thinking, well, it's all right for us, right? Like, what about everyone else? So Hawksmoor always had a real culture around creating an environment in which people can feel comfortable being themselves. And actually, I started speaking to Lorraine a few years ago, and she was like, how do you know everyone feels that? Because I knew it's a good place to work. I've got all the data from 13 years, right?
Yeah.
Look at that data every year. But how do you know that everyone's benefiting from that? So we started our own internal survey, and we ask a number of questions, but one of them is, Hawksmoor welcomes everyone irrespective of their background, and 97% of people agree.
Okay.
3 years in a row. I mean, it's the thing I'm probably most happy about. I was going to say proud of, but it's not me. It is the management culture. Right?
Yeah.
And that is the same when it's broken down by gender, by race. And similarly, 95% plus feel they belong and feel comfortable being themselves. And again, maybe it's about big and small things. So to give you it's a small example, but it's big for a lot of people, is like you can wear your own clothes front of house in Hawksmoor. And it might sound small, but the number of people who just so happy they can wear trainers. Yeah. Like quite literally being comfortable being yourself. If you're recruiting for receptionists or reservationists, and you can wear trainers on your feet all day in a restaurant. Yeah.
Well, I imagine that probably is quite unusual in that sector, isn't it? As in uniforms tend to be a thing, but yeah.
Yeah, and part of it was like bring your whole self to work, be yourself.
Yeah.
And casual professional, so be yourself, but really professional.
Yes.
In lots of ways, we have to be even more professional when we're being ourselves, but it does give it a different personality, I believe. And then again, I think you look at all the evidence, it's about my manager, and my team, and I feel I have a voice, and all of these sorts of things that really makes a difference. And hospitality means welcoming everyone, being welcoming and looking after people. And it's an industry that knows how to do that really well. And it's an area I mentor for being inclusive hospitality.
Okay.
There's a lot I could talk about there as well.
Yeah.
There's another amazing initiative, Boardwalk, which is about getting more women on boards in hospitality. So there are people who are really doing things, and let's just keep that momentum and make everyone feel welcome so that they can contribute and just feel good. And because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. So I've got a couple of questions on that, which I think are kind of linked to trends at the minute. So I spoke to another people director a while ago who was kind of the view that for an employer, people bringing their whole self to work, as the phrase goes, was actually really tricky. Because often when their whole selves butted up against each other, or maybe even offended each other, that was something that an employer then had to navigate. And I think their view was, that's not really what I want to have to do. What do you kind of think of that?
That's so interesting. I love that. So I talk about welcoming everyone.
Yeah.
That's what we talk about at Hawksmoor. And I think I'll zoom out a bit to culture, and maybe to something that I learnt from taking a strong culture in the UK to the US.
Yeah. Yeah. I might have been going US bound at some point with my next question.
Oh, were you?
So, well, it'll be interesting. Maybe I'll say that and then we can weave it in. But, in fact, I was chatting to somebody this morning about DE&I fatigue, and we're in July 25. US president has been in place for a little while, and there's been a big rollback on that kind of stuff there in the US. Often that will follow over here, and whether there is a fatigue on that front and whether that's okay or not. But yeah, so it's interesting if you've got the kind of US UK comparison as well.
Yeah,
I've thrown quite a lot of at you there once, but
so I think I'll absorb it, and you can tell me if you caught the board or not. But for me, it is about culture, and it is about welcoming and including everyone, and it is the right thing to do. And there's all sorts of difference in there because we're all different, right? And it is being conscious and intentional about making sure that everyone feels they belong and develop all of those things.
Yeah, and
measuring that. And for me, there is a lot of difference. I guess I'll pick that up again. And there's difference anyway between departments, between people, between functions, front of house, back of house, law, me.
Yeah.
There's difference culturally, different countries. And for me, culture is about the values and about how you embed them. And I couldn't pick up some examples, but it's about good conversations. Mm-hmm. It's about creating spaces for good conversations for us to understand, connect, and understand with each other better. And the HR team has so much power there, I think, to help shape conversations. Anything from annual review form or self-review question. What questions do you want people to have in there? What do you want them to be thinking about? How is that part of your culture? How is that helping? What is that bringing to the conversations they have? And then for me, we had this strong culture. I'm struggling now not to give you a culture model before I start. I'll just try and tell you a little bit. So we had these values when I joined. Yeah. They but it was a few restaurants, and Hugh and Will knew it was special. They knew it was a special culture. So they had kind of bottled it in these 5 values. Yeah. Kind of be nice to people. I mentioned support, development, personality, which is now welcoming everyone, and something that will come back to me. And then really the question for me was, how are you going to keep the culture as we go, Ceri? It's now your job. You have to translate it into what we're actually going to do in the business. These values served us really well for 10 years, 13 years still there. And their words, and they tend to be people who've been there for a very long time, and it's just part of the way you do things. Everyone knows what they mean, all of this stuff. And it's brilliant culture. And then with opening the years, it made me really think about language. I don't know if you've done any employment law between the UK and the US.
Some,
it's just mind-blowingly different. And
absolutely,
I think people find it so hard to understand how different it is.
Correct. And usually, US parent companies not happy with the way that the UK sort of subsidiary or outpost is managing employment issues. Yeah, and they can't understand why we would do it the way that we do. Yeah, and helping them understand that is generally what I tend to end up doing. But it is very different. You're right.
Yeah, and I think what I really learned was we're like goldfish in a bowl.
Yeah,
in our national culture, we just can't see it. We can't see it until you jump out and you really try and understand why things are different somewhere else. And what I really learned from you is how language means something different, and I'd love to pick up that point. But also how much we're shaped by our regulatory environment and by our social and cultural history. Yeah, and things just mean different things, and we just value different things. Yeah. So we had these one-word values, and there's a book that I really love called Culture Map by Erin Meyer, and she is a professor in Seattle Business School, I think. But essentially she's spent a couple of decades doing this stuff, and she has decoded, I think it's 8 or 9 factors that influence what good management looks like in different cultures. Yeah. And spoiler alert, it's not the same. So we think this is a good way of giving feedback. Let me train you how to give good feedback, whatever it is. It's not the same. Yep. And we have international teams, right? Yeah. I'm sure all your businesses have difference. And there was one area in there, so just think it's called on communication. Mm-hmm. So she introduced me to this idea of low context and high context communication. So high context communication is an environment where we're quite similar. We have lots of shared history. We're quite homogenous. So my sister-in-law is Japanese. Japanese culture is very established. It's very high context. Yeah. I also think it's quite true if you go to your in-laws, someone says, "Oh, blah blah blah," is really annoyed, and you haven't noticed it at all. So I can see you laughing.
I'm nodding quietly.
Families, or your own family. Like, families are high context. You read subtle cues.
Yeah.
And you develop a high context communication, because we don't have to say it all, because we say it in gestures, or I use a word and you know what it means, right?
Yeah.
And then a culture like the US, it is formed from people from all over the world, right? If I try and talk to you in a high context way, there's big room for misunderstanding, because we don't mean the same things. We might have two different languages. So it's developed a very low context culture that really values clarity and directness. And in fact, if you are kind of nuanced, which we tend to be, we are in the middle, we're more on the high context side. We talk about things like faint praise, right? Then it can be seen even as frustratingly unclear or indirect. So I'm so interested in this low context culture, and actually a word like development personality. What does that mean, Nick? If I say that to you, do you know what to do with it? I know what to do it, because I'm part of this company. I mean, I qualified in coaching a number of years ago and met a woman, Georgina Gray, there, and I had great conversations with her about culture, because obviously I've done all this stuff, and she had worked on culture, specializing in culture with smaller purpose-driven organizations, and we kind of brought that together and really thought about how to evolve culture at Hawksmoor, doing coaching workshops there. And in particular, there's like, what's these words really mean? And Georgina's great. She really challenges us. We're like, what do you really mean by this? What do you want people to do? If I read that, work hard and be nice to people, I know what to do. The rest don't really know what to do. So we did that work, listening to people in the UK business, in the US business, the general managers, because at the end of the day, it's the managers who do this, not the HR team, leadership team. Like, they bring everyone on this journey, and so personality, welcoming everyone. I love that. It's really clear, right? And we measure it, and people know what it means. And again, I think these are words that support good conversations. It does loop back somehow to your original question, which is like, do you have to, and like, how do you manage difference? And let's generate that understanding. And for me, that's what culture is. It's supporting those conversations, but giving them, this is what it means here to belong at Hawksmoor. This is what it means to belong at another company. It's these 3 things or these 4 things. Let's talk about what they mean. Because the thing about culture is that it can't be static. If your culture's stuck in the past, everyone's like, it's what we do. It's how we've always done things. It's about this thing we do every Friday. Whatever it is, it's going to strangle your business, because the truth is, culture has to evolve. So Hawksmoor's purpose would be creating something special, but lots of businesses will have their mission. And the reality is, what's special changes over time. It's changed for customers so much in the last 5 years. And as you will know, you spend lots of time with HR. It's changed for people who work here. What is special now is different, and we have to evolve with it. And these are the tools, the values, whatever they are, keep evolving, would be one. They're tools to have this conversation, so you can keep your culture alive and you can keep growing. Did that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did that give you...
Well, and also I kind of had innovation in mind when you were talking about that evolving culture as well, because if it's strangling any change, then those kind of improvements are not going to happen either, I guess. So yeah, it was really interesting. Really interesting.
Exactly. Keep evolving. I think, really
interesting.
Agree.
Thank you. Wow, so many different insights. That's brilliant. Thank you. One of the things that we talk about on the podcast is advice to the HR profession. And I would love you to kind of share either people kind of coming into the profession or looking for, progression through, or the top job, that kind of thing. Your kind of thoughts on how people can best position themselves or equip themselves for the job, I suppose. It's a tough time for a lot of HR people out there at the minute. Any thoughts on that?
Oh, it makes me feel for the HR people having a tough time, because it is a big complex job, and you are interacting with people, and I love people. Like, my work's all about people and impact, but never think that's easy. Relationships aren't easy, and you're dealing with people's emotions and all of this stuff. So how to kind of grow and develop and resource yourself. I'd start by saying, keep yourself in mind. I hear people in the HR profession say, I must think about, say, a mentor or a coach myself, or training for myself. I'm doing it all for everybody else. I'm really good at looking after everybody else, and not doing it for myself. So that'd be one, like, take a pause, just think, like remember and nurture yourself. And then I think I'd share something that I would think about for anyone really. And that is about sustained change. So I think it's true at organizational level, it's true at an individual level. And actually, I was training recently with Professor Richard Boyatzis, who's done decades of research in the US. And I loved what he came out with, because it's true for people at work in development. So our performance review. Yep. Sorry, I keep looking at you and reviewing your performance. It'll be a very inspirational conversation, I'm sure. Or people who need to make changes because, say, they're facing a chronic health condition and it's their medical professional.
Yeah.
When we focus on what people should change, doesn't lead to sustained change. Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting because if lots of people are managing change in an organisation, if you're telling people this, if you're just telling people what must change, it doesn't lead to sustained change. But if you can connect people to their vision, their dreams, their values, and kind of resource them with good relationships, then that leads to sustained change. Mm-hmm. That's why I think in companies, vision and value is so important. It's why we change. But it's also true for individuals. So I think of like a little plant growing. You need roots. Roots might be your values, like knowing who you are and the relationships in your life that matter, the activities you do that replenish you, and then know where your light is, and that will keep evolving, because we all keep evolving. But what are you growing towards? And sometimes it's quite like, I'm just trying to get the next job, or I'm trying to buy a house, and sometimes it's like, I want to change the world. But know what you're growing towards, and keep reviewing that. And then it's good work on this as well. Know your strengths. Mm-hmm. So you'll grow through your strengths. If you just keep focusing on like, how can I improve my weaknesses? It's the ceiling. You can really grow through your strengths. And I love showing this because, I have a 17-year-old son who'll be joining work. Like, if we could help younger people learn this, it will not only make them better in their first job, it will just make them happier and more productive and all of that stuff for their whole lives. That's what I mean. Like, we can change people's lives. Yeah. So know your strengths, also know your weaknesses and mitigate your weaknesses, because they are the things that trip you up. Yeah. When you're under stress, they all happen, whether that is, whatever it is. For me, it's not being succinct. So, and then you can help me maybe mitigate that. And then look after your plant, right? Like, water it. How do you water it? Yeah. Views. Who are your mentors? Where do you get your ideas from? How do you protect yourself in drought? Because sometimes we are flat out. Like, I'm feeling for your HR people, and how do you resource yourself through that drought? So, and relationships are an important part of that. Who are the people that you spend time with who give you energy and help you grow, right? And really contribute. And then specifically for HR people, I would say, you know what? We talked about analytical and empathic, so maybe I will use that language. Is that okay, do you think? So analytic, like data. Lean into data. If you already like data, just really lean into it. If you don't like it, don't be scared. Just learn. Like anything, actually, learn the things that you're scared of. You have to get out of your comfort zone and get uncomfortable. People, that obviously everyone here will know that's how you grow, because they're all HR people. And will have read that stuff. But also do something that makes you uncomfortable, and you do it, becomes comfortable. It's one less thing that makes you feel uncomfortable. It is brilliant. It's great. But learn data for all of the reasons we talked about there, because we need ways, these things that some HR people just know instinctively. It's the energy in the room. It's the vibe. It really matters. They know this, and I believe that. Yeah. But how do you communicate that to get the investment, or make balanced decisions? Manage up. So know what people above you. As you go through your career, people will want something different from you, and just keep evolving. Yeah. So ask for feedback, and try not to take that personally. Take it as, what do people need from me now? Or what do they need from me? Get to understand yourself. Herman, I like. I don't know if you've done Herman, but for me, it's great. You find out your colour, red, yellow, whatever, and it will tell you, this is how other people, other colours want information from you. If they're finance and they're blue-green, like, they want it in a very different way from, say, how I want it, because I'm... Yeah. So get really good at managing yourself and giving other people what they need. And then we talked about the empathic work, like, trust your instinct, trust your intuition, and keep developing that as well. We just need to find ways to make other people value it as well. That's a really important form of intelligence. Yes. Did that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Love it.
Anything?
Yeah, I love it. Love it. Thank you. And then the other thing that we have is something called the supplier shout out. So we don't have a sponsor for the podcast, but we do like to try and showcase a supplier or an organization that you think are great. So is there anybody on that front?
Well, I think I've already mentioned two who I think are great, which is Be Inclusive Hospitality, the Raincoats, and that community. Love being part of that, and love the action they're taking. I mentioned Boardwalk, which are three really inspirational women in hospitality are taking action to really resource other women and get them on the board. And I would mention Hospitality Action. So Hospitality Action is EAP. I don't even have to explain it to them, so don't charge it's EAP. And they've been in hospitality for hundreds of years, and they really, really make a difference to people in our industry, both through that, but they also give out grants to people who've really hit hard times. And I had a horrible experience where one of our restaurants, the industry, the world, the country was in the borough attacks, and they, I got them involved, and they came in and did crisis support. So they have, HR people support a lot of people. They support HR people and other people, and they're amazing. And these are all people who really care. They do this because they care, and they are making a positive impact on the world. Sounds great. I love it.
Well, we'll tag them in the notes to the podcast for sure. So check them out. Just finally, tell us more about what you're doing now. So we've talked about Hawksmoor a lot. What are you doing now? What kind of stuff are you getting involved in, and what does that involve?
Yeah, so I think the thread throughout all of the stuff that I've done, as you probably hear as people in transformation, like I love that work, and I love helping people create things that are really meaningful for them. And I'm also someone who has loads of ideas, and I love to do loads of stuff. So I'm trying to keep myself one bit at a time. So I'm doing it in a number of different ways at the moment. So one-to-one coaching with people. You heard me talk about the empathic network a lot, and it is something we can learn. So I am doing personalised, so one-to-one leadership development. So personalised to the individual leader. So it will be some models if they're relevant, but it's also really integrating it and applying it because it is personal, whatever it is, understanding ourselves, understanding other people. And with Georgina, we also partner with HR directors or organisations to get this the right cultural building blocks, those values. That work it's unbelievable. So McKinsey have a study, and they find that organisations in the top 25% for culture outperform those in the bottom 25 by 200%. It's whopping, isn't it? Yeah. So if I told you something else at the moment could increase your financial returns by 200%, you'd be investing in that.
I'd sign up. Yeah.
And it's not just that, there's a range of things in there. Yeah. But it's all of this stuff. Yeah. And then I'll be launching some more stuff next year. I also think coaching is amazing. It's like I had a coach, and it's amazing. Space for growth and discovering possibilities. And some people, it's investment as well. Yeah. And I think I'd like to explore other ways to help organisations bring it to more people. Yeah.
Sounds
things
great.
Like that.
Sounds great. Really exciting.
Thank you, Nick. And I do talks on these things now. Yeah. Because I've decided it is really important to talk about this stuff and talk about the great work that people leaders do and why it's so important. Yeah. So thank you for asking me.
No problem at all. It's been an absolute pleasure. So many different insights, like I was saying earlier on, and really appreciate it. I'm sure people will get loads of value out of it, and no doubt be in touch with you asking for more. So it's been excellent. Thank you.
And they're really happy for people to contact me on LinkedIn. Yeah. Just to say hello, to, connect and build community. I love hearing what people are up to and just meeting other people who care, or also obviously on my website. Yeah, absolutely. Which is very easy. Well, and we always include Ceri Gott.
Yeah, exactly. We include LinkedIn profiles for both of us in the notes as well. So yeah, do reach out. That would be great.
It's lovely to meet you as well. I really appreciate
the community
you create.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you. Thanks very much. Thanks for listening to this episode of the HRD Talks podcast. Hopefully you found the discussion helpful. If so, please follow us on your podcast provider to be notified of future episodes and share with friends and colleagues. For more information on the podcast, please visit actons.co.uk/the HRD Talks.